We got an absolute thriller at the Metropolitano tonight. Barcelona punched their ticket to the Copa del Rey final with a razor-thin 1-0 win over Atletico Madrid in a game dripping with drama, tension, and that classic Spanish football fire. From the first whistle, you could feel it. This was a cup clash with all the ingredients of an instant classic. The Metropolitano was rocking, a cauldron of noise as the Atletico faithful did their best to rattle Barcelona. But under Hansi Flick, the Blaugrana arrived with a game plan and the swagger of a team hunting a treble. And right from the jump, the tempo was relentless. Lamine Yamal, the teenage sensation, wasted no time making his mark, darting down the right flank and forcing a near-own goal from Jose Gimenez. A desperate sliding challenge sent the ball hurtling toward disaster, but Juan Musso was alert to deny an early catastrophe. The game was pure chaos, in the best way. Both sides pressed high, trying to impose themselves. Barcelona bossed possession, but Atletico, true to Simeone's DNA, stayed compact and lethal on the break. The intensity boiled over early, with Cesar Azpilicueta taking down Rafinha just 6 minutes in, earning a yellow and sparking the first of many flashpoints. Then came the first dose of VAR drama. The ref went to the monitor to check Azpilicueta's challenge for a possible red, sending Simeone into a frenzy on the touchline. Classic Cholo, living every moment like he's in the stands. His protests earned him a yellow of his own, but did that calm him down? Not a chance. As the half wore on, Barcelona's quality started to shine through. They were dictating the tempo, enjoying nearly 70% possession. Yamal was electric, whipping in a gorgeous effort in the 12th minute that curled just wide after a slick setup from Pedri. Atletico, meanwhile, were playing rough, Rodrigo de Paul becoming the latest to clatter Rafinha and earn himself a booking. It felt like Atleti's game plan was simple. If you can't stop them, at least make them feel it. Barcelona finally found their breakthrough in the 27th minute. And who else but Yamal to provide the magic? The teenager sent a precise ball into the path of Ferran Torres, who kept his cool as Musso rushed out and slotted it past him into the bottom corner. There had been plenty of talk about Flick starting Torres over Lewandowski. This was the answer. With that goal, Barcelona edged ahead 5-4 on aggregate, putting their fate firmly in their own hands. They began dictating the game, slowing it down when needed, and probing for spaces when Atletico overcommitted. The host stayed patient, sitting deep and waiting for that one moment of quality to swing the tie. Torres nearly bagged a second, only for Atletico's defense to collapse on him at the last second. Then Yamal, in yet another dazzling run, set up Pedri, who teed up Rafinha, only for the Brazilian to scuff his shot. The follow-up? Blasted over the bar. By halftime, the tension in the Metropolitano was suffocating. Barcelona had taken 10 shots to Atletico's 1, yet the scoreline was still too close for comfort. Atletico knew it. They were 1 goal away from forcing extra time. Barcelona knew it too. The stage was set for a blockbuster second half. The second half kicked off with Diego Simeone pulling the trigger on some bold, tactical changes. 3 subs all at once: Alexander Sorloth, Javi Galan, and Clement Lenglet in for Reynildo, Simeone Jr., and Azpilicueta. No waiting, no hesitating. This was a statement from El Cholo. Atletico were throwing everything at it. And boy, did they come out swinging. The impact was instant, especially from Sorloth. Just 3 minutes in, he made a darting run down the right, looking suspiciously offside, but the flag stayed down. He drove into the box, spotted Griezmann in space, and the Frenchman took the shot, only for Wojciech Szczęsny to get down and make the save. The flag eventually went up, but it was a warning shot. Atletico meant business. They kept pushing, riding the momentum of those halftime changes. Then, in the 53rd minute, Sorloth had an even better chance. Left side of the box, just Szczęsny to beat. He went for the near post, but slammed it into the side netting. Hands on heads. That was a golden opportunity wasted. Barcelona were feeling the heat. Atletico won a flurry of corners, the crowd roaring with every delivery, sensing an equalizer. Hansi Flick wasn't about to sit back and watch the tide turn. Ronaldo Araujo and Robert Lewandowski were up and ready. The chess match between these two managers was in full swing. But Barcelona still had firepower of their own. In the 55th minute, Rafinha got his chance. Fermin Lopez slipped him the ball. The Brazilian cut inside, aimed low at the near post, but Musso was sharp, diving to his right to smother it. The game was wide open now. Atletico pressing, Barcelona threatening on the counter. Then came the hour mark, and with it, a flurry of changes. Flick sent on Eric Garcia and Ronald Araujo, while Atletico responded with Nahuel Molina. No time for settling in, though. Molina barely had a foot on the pitch before clattering into Garcia and picking up a yellow card. Welcome to the chaos. Atletico kept knocking. Then, in the 70th minute, pandemonium. Sorloth latched onto a lofted ball, powered into the box, and unleashed a thunderous strike into the top corner. The stadium exploded. The Norwegian wheeled away in celebration. But then, devastation. The flag was up, offside. The equalizer that would have changed everything? Gone in an instant. With time slipping away, Flick made another move. Off came the goalscorer Torres, on came Lewandowski. A defensive switch on paper, a fresh set of legs to hold up play in reality. And that's the luxury Barcelona have. A player like Lewandowski coming off the bench when you need to see out a game. Simeone wasn't done either. In the 81st minute, he made his final roll of the dice. Off went Griezmann. On came Rodrigo Riquelme. A big call, taking off one of his most creative players, but Griezmann had been locked down all night. Time for something different. Barcelona knew what they had to do. Game management mode engaged. The final 10 minutes were all about control, keeping the ball, slowing the pace, frustrating Atletico. Then, in the 87th minute, Flick made his last defensive switch, bringing on Gerard Martin for the outstanding Yamal. Hold the line. See it out. 4 minutes of added time. One last push from Atletico. The crowd was at fever pitch as they won a dangerous free kick deep in enemy territory. Even Musso, the goalkeeper, sprinted up for it, but Barcelona held firm. Final whistle. Relief. Celebration. They had survived. Ferran Torres' first-half strike was enough to send them to the Copa del Rey final. And waiting for them? None other than Real Madrid. For Atletico, heartbreak. They had thrown everything at it in the second half, but just couldn't find the goal they needed. Simeone will be proud of the fight, but gutted by the outcome. For Barcelona, the dream is still alive. The treble is still on. And with El Clásico now set as the final showdown, Spanish football fans are in for something special. This was a clash of footballing identities, a battle of styles, philosophies, and sheer will. Two teams, each staying true to their DNA, locked in a high-stakes chess match with a Copa del Rey final on the line. For Barcelona, this win was a testament to Hansi Flick's growing imprint on the team. He's taken the club's possession-based heritage and blended it with a sharper, high-intensity press. Tonight, we saw both gears in action. They dictated the tempo in the first half, weaving passes with intent rather than just for show. Then, when Atletico turned up the heat in the second, Barcelona proved they could dig in, absorb pressure, and see out a result. It's that adaptability that makes this Barcelona side dangerous. When they needed flair and creativity, they had it. When they needed grit and resilience, they delivered. That balance, something past Barcelona teams have sometimes lacked, could be the key to their treble chase. And then there was the decision that raised eyebrows before kickoff. Flick benching Robert Lewandowski in favor of Ferran Torres. A bold call, but one that paid off in full. Torres stretched Atletico's defense all night, and when his moment came, he took it with ice-cold precision. These are the gambles that define great managers, and Flick is proving he's not afraid to roll the dice. Defensively, Barcelona were rock solid. Atletico had their chances, especially late on, but the pairing of Cubarsí and Íñigo Martínez stood strong against the physical battle. And when called upon, Wojciech Szczęsny was a safe pair of hands. If this Barcelona side can maintain that defensive steel while keeping their attacking spark, they'll be a nightmare for anyone in Europe. For Atletico, this was classic Diego Simeone. Passion, intensity, tactical discipline. But ultimately, that last piece of the puzzle was missing. The plan was clear. Stay compact, frustrate Barcelona, and strike on the counter or from set pieces. But in the first half, it just didn't click. While Barcelona racked up 10 shots, Atletico barely threatened, managing just one. Simeone knew something had to change, and his halftime shakeup injected new life into the team. Enter Alexander Sorloth, and suddenly Atletico looked like themselves. Aggressive, direct, relentless. They put Barcelona on the ropes, created chances, and on another night, with sharper finishing or a bit of luck, they might have flipped the script. But that first half? That's what will haunt Simeone. In a two-legged semifinal, you can't afford to go missing for 45 minutes. By the time Atletico found their rhythm, they were chasing the game. And despite all their second-half pressure, they lacked that killer touch in the final third. Still, there were positives. The fight they showed after halftime, Sorloth's impact, and the way they forced Barcelona onto the back foot. If they can channel that second-half version of themselves consistently, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. Looking ahead, Barcelona have booked a dream Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid. Add that to their La Liga and Champions League ambitions, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Atletico, meanwhile, must regroup, secure their top four spot. Tonight was a tactical duel between two of Spain's finest minds. Flick's Barcelona shone in the first half, Simeone's Atletico roared in the second. In the end, Barcelona had just enough to get over the line, but both sides played their part in a thrilling semifinal. Spanish football just keeps delivering. And now, we've got the ultimate finale, a Clásico with a trophy on the line. It doesn't get any bigger than that. For Atletico, it's a case of what could have been. They've been knocked out of the cup, and while their second-half surge was promising, questions linger over their inconsistency. They have the fire, but can they sustain it? That's the challenge ahead. For Barcelona, this was a statement. They went into one of Europe's most hostile environments and got the job done. It wasn't always pretty, but great teams find a way. And tonight they did just that. At the final whistle, the emotions told the story. Elation for Barcelona. Heartbreak for Atletico. That's knockout football. The fine margins, the decisive moments. And tonight, it was Ferran Torres and Barcelona who seized theirs. Big games demand big performances, and this semifinal had its fair share of standout moments. Let's break down the players who left their mark on a thrilling night of Copa del Rey action. The undisputed star? Lamine Yamal. At just 17, he played with the swagger of a seasoned veteran. From the first whistle, he was electric, dancing past defenders, picking the right passes, making the right runs. His assist for the winning goal? Pure class. Vision, precision, execution. It was a performance that didn't just showcase his talent, it announced his arrival on the biggest stage. And when he finally made way in the 87th minute, you could almost hear Atletico's defense breathe a sigh of relief. Ferran Torres deserves his flowers too. Flick's decision to start him over Lewandowski raised eyebrows, but the Spaniard answered every question with a performance full of intelligence, movement, and most importantly, a ruthless finish. That goal wasn't just about technical skill, it was composure under pressure, the mark of a forward who thrives when it matters most. For Atletico, Alexander Sorloth came off the bench and changed the game. He bullied defenders, made smart runs, and gave Atletico the presence they'd been missing in the first half. He had chances, one into the side netting, another ruled out for offside. A few inches here or there, and we'd be talking about him as the hero of the night. Then there's Pedri, the heartbeat of this Barcelona side. The way he glides through midfield, always a step ahead, always in control. His pass to set up Yamal's early chance was just one of those moments that remind you why he's special. When Atletico turned up the pressure in the second half, he was the one keeping Barcelona calm, dictating the tempo, making sure they played on their terms. At the back, Wojciech Szczęsny wasn't called into action too often, but when needed, he was faultless. Commanding, sharp, and in total control of his box. His quick reactions to cut out Griezmann's dangerous cross in the 80th minute summed up his night. Alert, assured, rock solid. Rodrigo de Paul, the definition of relentless. Even with a yellow card hanging over him, he never stopped battling, pressing, and driving Atletico forward. His energy was infectious, and while others around him struggled in the first half, he kept pushing until the very end. And then there was Diego Simeone, living every second of the game on the touchline, arms flailing, voice hoarse, passion on full display. His halftime tweaks turned the game on its head, and if Atletico had been just a little sharper in front of goal, we'd be talking about a tactical masterclass. On the flip side, Antoine Griezmann had one of those nights where nothing quite clicked. Barcelona's defense smothered him, cutting off his usual passing lanes, and by the time Simeone subbed him off in the 81st minute, it was clear this just wasn't his night. Even the best have them. For Barcelona, Hansi Flick showed once again why he's an elite manager. He took risks, made bold choices, and got them spot on. The timing of his substitutions kept Barcelona in control when Atletico threatened to turn the tide. Bringing on Araujo to add steel at the back, then Lewandowski to hold up play, every move was calculated, every decision measured, and so when the final whistle blew, the emotions told the story. Barcelona, ecstatic. Atletico, gutted but proud of their fight. Spanish football, once again, delivered drama, quality, and intensity in equal measure. Now the stage is set for a Clásico final, a battle for silverware between the fiercest of rivals. The Metropolitano gave us a show, but only one team moves on. This has been Across the Pitch. Over and out.